So it really, if you just take the hydrochloroquine, it's much more effective than with the antibiotics. Because if you have a virus, the antibiotics is completely bogus.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also noticed that
they fooled Trump with that, because Trump had the knowledge and you want to push it through, but they want to push it through. And I wonder sometimes, because when Donald Trump made the question, because actually it was a question, and he was looking at them and say, what if we would put what is here?
He said a disinfectant.
The blood. Yes. So I wonder if Fauci and company, they didn't use it, because if I make a virus in Wuhan paying 3.7 million, I want to have the antidote first.
Right.
So if he might know that they are taking it, it would make sense.
And Trump, his question was not well formed, and he could have described it in many different ways, including killing pathogens with oxygen, for example, or other variations. But the thing is that we now have a science and medical establishment that is not open to new ideas, that simply has an emotional response against the mention of chlorine dioxide. Instead of saying, here's a molecule, let's test it, let's run some trials, they declare war on the molecule. And it reminds me actually of climate change, where they declare war on carbon dioxide. Think about it, it's kind of a similar thing, right? Carbon and two oxygens, and they say that this is a poison that's killing the planet, when it's actually the most important molecule for photosynthesis and food crops, food production, and even ocean life. Marine ecosystems depend on carbon dioxide. We would all be dead without carbon dioxide, okay? And it's lacking. It's only 400 parts per million in the atmosphere. That's dangerously low.
Another point, it's heavier than air. It goes to the ground. You understand? So it goes to the ground, and actually the ground absorbs the carbon dioxide for the plants, and this is perfectly what it should be.
Well, exactly. But you see, when we have a science establishment that declares war on natural molecules, says that molecule is bad, it's almost like they are table of elements denialists. Like they actually describe it as a war on carbon.
The problem is science has become a religion.
Yes.
And the Bible of the science religion is called references. The evidence is over the reference. So if you have 100 people cured that would not have been cured because they had COVID, so there's an evidence. If you have 10 references that say, oh, it cannot work, and you ask, where's the clinical trial that it can't work? Oh, there's none. So it's just a reference of a hypothesis. And hypothesis is actually the less scientific ever thought, because the hypothesis is a belief system. It has nothing to do with science.
Yes.
Even if you have a scientific paper and in the last part it calls conclusion, this is a belief. It's not science.
Look, if you took all the papers and evidence of chlorine dioxide's effectiveness, and you created a document that said this is a big pharma FDA-approved drug called chlorodoxidine or something, and it's going to make a fortune, and you handed that to doctors, they would be amazed. They would say, oh my gosh, this is the answer. We have to prescribe chlorodoxidine. But the minute...
They did it already. Dr. Kühn Heidelberg in the 80s. So he put together a chlorine dioxide matrix, it's called. So you put some other thing in just to make it patentable in a way, as you would. And so it's for a company called Oxo. It's much weaker actually, because you put other stuff in that makes it weaker. I don't know why, but it's a fact. And it still was successful that place, but he never get through. So we have in America, we have Frontier Pharmaceuticals. Frontier Pharmaceuticals, this is Howard Ellinger, who was one of the people that were in the beginning of the EPA. So when the EPA makes his basic study about chlorine dioxide for the drinking water, that's like that. And he was working in these papers too. He found out now, 40 years later, because obviously he read my book, and he made some tests that works on cancer, and he made a patent out of it. Okay.
Wow.
So the Chinese, the same, they read the book, so they made a patent out of it. You have a patent for Alzheimer, that's a patent, from 2012 from a big pharmaceutical company, but they don't release nothing. Why? Because sometimes you get money for putting a patent in a box and never open it again, like
That's right.
the Tesla patents, you know?
Obvious contraindications or people taking specific prescription drugs.
Yes, the only thing we have no real contraindication, but the only thing let's say I would take care of if you have blood thinners, you know, because blood thinners are very heavy poisons. For example, warfarin, coumadin, this is a heavy poison. Actually, people don't know. People say, oh, this is bleach, but warfarin, you know what it is.
Rat poison.
It's exactly the same stuff. So if you don't have warfarin, take the rat poison from the barn, you know.
That's crazy. Yeah, I know. People bleed internally to death.
So I would say there's two different things. So the warfarin is a blood thinner, but it makes the possibility to break the arteries and break it. Chlorine dioxide does not. So the blood gets better immediately, and if you have blood thinners, it can be too much. So you have to control it. This is the only thing. We had no problems with chemotherapy, no problems with any other medicament at all till now if you have it 1 hour late, because in 1 hour the gas is absorbed. You know, it's so fast, it's like vroom. And it's not works like a typical medicine with key lock function. There is no receptor for chlorine dioxide. It is, every cell is a receptor for chlorine dioxide because it's oxygen that's free.
And you mentioned chemotherapy. Isn't it amazing how people, they're so brainwashed by Western medicine and Western media that they will say, well, I don't know about this chlorine dioxide, but they'll say, I'm going to take chemotherapy, and their hair falls out, and they vomit, and they lose muscle mass, and their kidney function is destroyed, and their heart doesn't work, and they have brain problems, but they'll say, that's good medicine, that's safe, that's FDA approved. And you're like, no, you are dying. You're committing suicide with that stuff. Why do you think that's safe? And then they'll say, well, I don't know about, vitamin C or something like that. My doctor doesn't recommend that. People are insane when it comes to medicine.
It's programming. We have to understand we from childhood are heavily programmed. And when you from childhood were taken to the doctor and said, no, this is a doctor, you have to take care what he says is real. So you believe it. It's part of their belief system. And it is very, very difficult for people to accept that they might be cheated for 30 years. Understand? Yeah, so everybody needs something to believe in or on or whatever. And so this is a belief system. The problem is that the doctors have their own belief system, doctrine. This is why they're doctors in a way.
Yes.
So what happens? You have the young doctors that go to the university, they get from Pfizer the nice suit with the Pfizer label on, I'm in the group, whatever. So, and they don't realize that they're used, that they're fooled, because they're part of a big machinery where in the future they have a computer, and in the computer they put in the data, and the computer says you have to give them that stuff. And you see people dying and dying and dying and dying, and in the end, he goes to the pharmacy and says, well, but they're all dying. Oh, that's normal. And there you have a lot of frustration, and all the old doctors, they know, of course. Most of the old doctors, I don't have to explain anything. They don't tell me. And they know the business around all that. So it's a very sad story.
Yes, it is, yes. Humanity has been tortured, killed, enslaved by Western medicine for over 100 years. And it's going to continue until someone stops it. And we realize that natural medicine is almost free, it's readily available, it's easy to make, and frankly, we're surrounded by it in terms of botanicals and plants and even oxygen in the air and so on. Almost everything around us is medicine, and yet people think they have to go to a pharmacy drive-through to get their toxins that cause liver damage but they've got another drug for the liver.
Fear programmed. You have to. The problem is this: you have to step out of a fear program. Because imagine you're a little kid and don't do this because, don't do that, don't do this, careful, careful, careful. I know, for example, how many times a little kid till 10 years hear the word take care or be careful, you know? And this take care or be careful, just by saying these two words, the parents are programming it without wanting. So when he comes bigger, all this stuff, that everything he does has a consequence. Of course it has, but it goes so deep in that the people really get scared, and the scareness is what makes you a slave. So who is scared is a slave, and who makes scare is the owner.
Exactly right. And look, we got to wrap this up, but it's been a fascinating talk already. I can tell we need to talk more frequently. We have a lot to explore.
Yes, great. I love it. I love it.
I really appreciate who you are, your curiosity, your advocacy, your willingness to maintain courage in the face of extreme censorship. And you and I are much alike in the sense that we are, attacked and censored. I know, but it's, it's a club of I think people who change human history. Frankly, you're one of those people, and your knowledge needs to be shared widely. And I think there's a revolution right now happening around the world. People, there's an awakening.
It's your knowledge too. I would say, don't say my knowledge. I would say our knowledge. Our knowledge. Our knowledge of the ones that are able to break out of this chain of fear, of this box of fear, where they say, "Hey, wait a moment. There's not. You will die anyway." So, so if people remember you as somebody who has done something for humanity, I don't think there's something more worthy. So, this is basically what it is.
And you know what, finally, what's really amazing is all of this knowledge is already encoded in Mother Nature, and the laws of physics, the laws of chemistry, the table of elements, the cosmos. This knowledge, I mean, you and I are just vessels of little snippets of wisdom that is contained in the cosmos that has been suppressed. So, the doctors who oppose this human knowledge, they oppose the laws of the universe.
Yeah, but we have to understand why they oppose. It's why does a doctor oppose to this? Yes, because we have something that's called belief system. And you say a belief can move mountains. Yes, it's right, but it can build mountains too.
Right.
Yep. It can build walls, mountains that really somebody who is in a belief system and said, I learned it like this, it has to be. This is a narrow-minded. It's like a donkey with I don't know what's the name for it. With
blinders.
Blinders. He cannot see because his own fear belief system, this combination, makes him unable to even think about that it might be something.
That's right.
I see that, and actually we see now in Ecuador where the doctors are waking up in masses enormously. So. They are baffled. They're baffled. You have the ones that say, wow, what's going on there? And then you have the other ones who said, it can't be. And then the doctor said, but look at all the people we have healed here. No, it can't be.
That's right. It's a belief system. And that's, by the way, that's why their reactions are so emotional, not rational. They attack chlorine dioxide with a fanaticism. It's like religious fanaticism. Not reason, rationality, logic, evidence, nothing. It's fanaticism.
Yes.
Yeah.
So people that are in this mood have no chance, actually. I understand the detractors of mine, 13 years of fighting of every possible way. You won't believe it. 13 years of harassment. But in the moment I started to understand them, and that's what I actually do. I understand that they have a belief system that is based on a fear box, and on top of it, the cream of ego, the ego box,
right. Right.
Don't even try. I will not. I learned then to say, okay, I give the knowledge to everyone who wants to listen. The ones that don't want to listen, that's not my problem. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. We all ultimately come to that conclusion. Maybe I'll make some T-shirts that say "Oxygenate or Die." Something like that. We're going to be rolling out some new T-shirts soon. I think that'll be a good one. Oxygenate or die. In any case, Andreas, it's been a pleasure talking with you. We'll talk again. Stay safe and keep doing what you're doing.
It's just been a pleasure for me. Great show. Thank you.
All right, that's a wrap, everybody. Thank you for watching. Of course, if you try to share this video, you're welcome to try, but you will be censored and banned everywhere for doing so. And get this knowledge out there, because this knowledge can help save lives by simply adhering to the rules of Mother Nature and the laws of physics and the universe. We don't have to do anything different than just respect what Mother Nature has already created and what God has created for all of us, this universe to inhabit. Thank you for watching. This is Mike Adams here, the Health Ranger. Take care.